Now, to talk briefly on deductive reasoning, which is different from the inductive reasoning from a previous video. Deductive reasoning starts off with facts or definitions or accepted properties and the law of logic to form a logical argument. Now, the inductive reason, remember, it started with specific examples and patterns to form a conjecture. We're going to talk about two, but in this video, I'm only going to talk about the law of detachment. If a hypothesis of a true conditional statement is true, then its conclusion is true. So, in some books, it'll write it like this. If P implies Q is true, and P is true, then Q is true. Okay. Here is an example, and I put a Roman numeral 1 and 2 on this one, but the Big Ideas book does not do that, so I didn't on the second one. But here is the P implies Q. Here is the conditional. If two segments have the same length as the P, then they are congruent. That's the Q. Now, think about what that's saying. If they have the same length, they're congruent, that's true. So we know that this part is true, so that's this part being played out. Now, there will be one more sentence where they say something like, well, BC equals XY. Now, if this is restating P specifically, if two segments, well, those are segments, have the same length, well, equal says that. So literally, I just was very specific with restating this. Then what can I conclude? Well, since the P is true, that means the Q is true. So when I'm writing my conclusion, what I'll do is I'll take the specific names of it and say that they're congruent. Here I said that they were equal. Therefore, now in geometry, when you write therefore, you usually just put three little dots like a triangle. Therefore, segment BC is congruent to segment XY by the law of detachment. Now, here's another one. And I didn't put the 1 and 2 with it, but if 90 degrees is less than the measure of angle R, which is less than 180, then R is obtuse. Here's my P, my hypothesis, here's my conclusion. Now that's true. If an angle is between 90 and 180, it is obtuse. So let's go see if this P part is restated. The measure of angle R is 155. Well, that is between 90 and 180. Therefore, that means that angle R is obtuse. So my conclusion would be the measure of angle R is obtuse. The measure of angle R is obtuse. I'm able to make that conclusion because the P was restated specifically is true. So that means that the conclusion is true.